Hello, 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 hello. Good evening. Good night, I might say. Yes, I'm a little late coming on tonight, but it has been a busy day. But however, I still wanted to come on. Good night. This is Home Care Queen Tea, and I am your host, Muriel Melville. Tonight, as I said on my last episode, I'm going into a new series. And this series, I'll be focusing on how to become a caregiver, how to prepare for caregiving classes, how to find an accredited caregiving, whether it's a school or a program. So let's get right into it because it's late. So you're deciding to become a caregiver. And let me first say, becoming a caregiver should be something you want to do, should be something that you're passionate about, because caregiving work, even though it can pay very well and you really, really can enjoy it, it takes a special person to be a caregiver. The work in the beginning process can be very challenging. So now that I've laid that out, let's talk about how to go about becoming a certified caregiver. Now, there are myriads of caregiving service programs, caregiver programs, but there are also caregiving schools. These schools specialize in nursing assistant training and caregiving training. Let me also say that even though I have quite a few schools, and even the one that I went to and got my certification, I will not be naming schools. And I'm sorry, yeah, it's disappointing because you'd love to know, but I am not one of their sponsors. And sponsorship ta- pays. So I will not take on the responsibility of sponsoring any agency, schools, or program that has not reached out to me to speak to me about being one of their ambassadors. So I will not be naming schools, but I will encourage you to go on Google and type in top 10 caregiving schools in Arizona. Or you can type in top 10 caregiving school in a radius. So you might say 10 miles, 20 miles, however far you're willing to drive to go. Most of these classes are not long classes. They may be from 8 to 4 or 8 to 3. Schools differ, programs differ, but I can assure you that if you do your homework and you go out there and search, you'll find good school. Here's what I can tell you. When you are calling and you're asking questions to get an understanding of the schools you want to go, do 3 schools. Get in contact after you have come up with your list of schools near your home, and sometimes even schools that are a little further from you, their accreditation. Whenever you call the school, after asking them if they're registering for new students, the next question should be, are you accredited? Now, if a school does not want to disclose that they're an accredited school or program, I would suggest that you keep looking because you need an accredited school. Why? If you have never done caregiving work on a professional level, and you have just been doing it, taking care of your friend's mother or your own mother or your neighbor, you need to be exposed to, let me say, clinical, the clinical, semi-clinical, okay, so basic nursing duties. How to take a blood pressure, how to take a temperature, how to read the medication bottle correctly and follow doctor's order correctly in the home. Because we're talking about caregiving in the home. In the facilities, if you decide to work for an agency or a hospital, or they will train you, they will give you additional training, but they also want a certificate that has the hours that is deemed necessary for practice. So it comes with an internship. An internship is where the school that is accredited has aligned itself with either a nursing home, a skill facility, where you can get the appropriate training and exposure to the type of clients that you might meet along the way. If you have decided to go along with working for a facility, a nursing home, and assisted living, you will then get the exposure to mirror someone in that facility that is experienced, that can show you what a day's work look like and support you. So that's the wonderful thing about choosing an accredited program. They have aligned themselves with nursing homes and rehab centers that you go in with the nurse from the school or from the training program. You go in with that nurse, and she's your supervisor, and you work for a couple of days or a shift, maybe a 12-hour shift or two, and you'll have a sense of what you're getting into. Now, you may say, what if I don't choose to go into a nursing home? It works the same way. Having the experience of how to use the tools that you're going to use in the home, the blood pressure monitor, the pulse oximeter, the temperature machine, the scale. Yes, most scales are digital, but there's some family or patients that cannot stand on the scale, so they will show you how to properly get the weight if that's what a doctor's order is in the home. So finding an accredited program or school is very, very important. So after you have gone through the training, there are things that you will need now to find a job. The first thing is a resume. But I've never worked as a caregiver. But if you have worked as a cashier, if you have worked as a customer service rep, if you have worked privately without certification, you can list your job experience in dealing with the public, because now that you have the knowledge of what you need to do as a caregiver, the companies or the families need to know that you know how to navigate different cultures, different temperament, just navigate different situation, and also how to multitask and how to work independently. So if you're in a nursing home or a rehab center, you will have someone to work with on a team, but when you go in the home, it's you and the family and the client. So how do you navigate in the home? Say now we're what we call the sandwich family. They're working family who's taking care of their grandmother or their mother who also has grandchildren. How do you navigate a home that has so much people in it while paying attention to your client? So that is one of the major reason why proper training and certification is so important, because it's not just having the paper, is having the experience of being in a facility that there's so much going on, and you still have to pay attention to your assigned clients. Because yes, when you go for your internship, you will be assigned clients. However, they will have their own nursing assistant or a caregiver. In a lot of places, it's a nursing assistant who you will shadow. When I say shadow, I mean work alongside. They will teach you how to document properly. Because when you're doing documentation, they're not looking for a book. They're just looking for what happened that is different this day with this client. And as we go through this series, I will speak about documentation. Right now, I would like to for us to concentrate and getting certified and preparing for a job. Now that you've gone through the certification process, you have done your internship, you have passed your exam, and the exam, my experience with my exam, it was everything I learned in the amount of time, whether it's 6 months, 3 months. Some schools do a very fast pace for people who have already who are educated, or higher education, I should say, or people who have been working in a facility but was never certified. So they used to work in the facility before certification comes around. They got laid off because they didn't have a certificate. So now they're decided. So the pre-testing, when you go after you do all your work, finding the right school, you go, you get registered. There's a pre-test exam. According to how you score, the higher you score, the fast track will open to you. So if the program is 6 months and they see that, wow, she's very experienced from her testing, then they'll say to you, you can come in for 3 or 4 or 5 months, or 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, and do your test, and you do your practicum, and you do your externship. So according to the school you choose, and according to how you score in your exam, they will tell you whether you're going to go in a mainstream caregiving class, or you're going to go on the fast track caregiving class. That fast track caregiving class give you a shorter period to finish, but it's the same criteria. It's a very intense class. It's the same criteria. Have to do your internship, have to get all your work done, all your lab work done in the program, how to make the bed, how to turn the patient correctly, how to transfer from a bed to a wheelchair, from a wheelchair to a couch or a lazy boy. So you see why it's important to be trained, because we can't just lift someone up like we would lift a family member. We have to be, and you should be careful in lifting an elderly family member, but the classes will teach you and enhance the experience that you already have. So after you're found your program, they're accredited, they have an internship program. When you went there, they were very professional yet pleasant, because there's some people, pardon me, there are some people that can be so professional that they lose the human touch, and it happens a lot. So if you should find a program that you can speak to the staff, you can question them about issues that you have concerns with in the interview. When you go to interview or the admission process, all your fears, all your talk to them about it. I'm afraid that I might not be able to complete it on time. A lot of programs and a lot of classes will give you an extra day or two to finish an assignment or to join. So they have an evening class and a day class. So they're teaching about blood pressure taking, how to use the machine properly, and you say, I'm having a real struggle with this, they'll ask you, would you like to come back or stay back and join the blood pressure class for more practice? Or the teacher will take you one side with a student that has gotten it and buddy you with that student. So the schools are geared for you to come out and be comfortable knowing what you are doing. So you've been through that, you're satisfied with the school, they're accredited. Now, I think there are a few free programs, and I will get the stats on that. I got it and I misplaced it and I forgot to go back and look. But I think there are some programs that are given by the state that if you are on any type of family assistance programs, that you'll be able to get that class paid for through the family assistant program. I will look into that some more and I'll come back with that on the next episode. So you have gotten to the school, you have passed your class, you did well on your internship, and you're certified. The next phase, to be employed. Every employer is asking for CPR. And let me say, in the caregiving programs and the schools, there's people that do caregiving classes and then there are caregiving schools. I personally, I rather to go to the school. I prefer the school for me. You can choose what is best for you. So in the schools, they will offer you CPR class and first aid classes for an additional cost. So say that the program costs $5. They'll say to you, close to your graduation, about a week before you're finished, they'll say to you, we have CPR class which is being offered before you're finished, and the cost is 50 cents. So you're paying $5 for the class, and then you're going to pay 50 cents for the CPR. Again, I would suggest, because getting CPR classes done in your community can take some time because they're not done every week. And in some cases, they're not done every month. So I would take advantage of the programs that offer CPR and first aid before graduation. Also, for the MedTech program, in the caregiving schools, the MedTech program is also added to your certification. So when you're paying for certification, they'll tell you if the fees include just a caregiving certification, and they'll also tell you if there's extra for the medication management certification, or there's extra for the CPR. So I would be prepared to spend the money in the program, in the school, because you're getting everything right there. And when you're finished, you don't have to be running around trying to find a CPR class at the fire department or with the Red Cross. They get so filled up. And someone asked me this today, and let me share that the CPR classes that are online, most agency and facilities does not take them. They want you to get the hands-on practice of how to compress the heart, how to check for your pulse, how to check for proper breathing, how to call 911, when to call for assistance. So, most agencies, hospitals, nursing home, family who hires private caregivers would rather you have the one that you went and do that 8 hour or 10 hour class with. So if you are able to find the schools that I call them the one-stop shop, where you're able to get your certification for a caregiver, your medtech certification, you're able to get your CPR, you're able to get your first aid, I would strongly suggest that that's the school that you want to get everything, because once you're finished with the program, you leave there with all these documents in your hand, and it makes a world of difference. So now that you've finished the course, you're ready to look for a job, as I stated before, making up a resume. Now, in making your resume, supervisors, employers, families, they don't have any time to sit and read a 6-page resume. Try to get everything on one page. The most, a page and a half. If you are not versed or experienced in doing a resume, ask one of your children. Go online and do not plagiarize. Do not write what they have online in your resume. It will show you a format how to place your job experience and what to write. But do not copy and paste from any resume online. Because let me tell you, employers, they know what's out there online, especially facilities. And families, they listen to what you're saying, and then they look at your resume. And if it's not coming together for them, that could be a reason you don't get a call back for the job. So sit down, write out your experience on paper, and add your school. Let your school be, if you have no experience in caregiving, let your school be your first experience. Training program, where you did your internship, how long was the internship, how long was the program, because that's count as a teaching experience. And then you were in the nursing home or the rehab center, you were there working for a week. So don't be afraid. Customer service is major. And customer service doesn't just stop at the teller at the bank or stop in the supermarket. Customer service is how we interact with each other, how we treat each other, and how we behave. Okay, so you're going to add all that in your resume. You're going to make it to the point and say exactly what you've worked or how you have worked. If you want to drop a line on top, your objective is to gain employment with a family in their home. If it's a facility, to gain employment in your facility. Now let me stop a minute and say this. If you are looking for work in a facility, and you know what I mean when I say facility, nursing home, rehab centers. I don't know of any hospital that hire caregiver. I know they're all nursing assistants with the caregiving license. nursing assistant with the nursing assistant license and the caregiving certification. But rehab centers, nursing homes, skilled centers, hospice, most hospice again hires nursing assistant. If you're going to work for Jack Brown Hospital, take some time and do a research on the hospital. Know what their mantra is. When I say mantra, know what their belief systems, know what they stand for, have some idea. So when you go to have that conversation with the interviewer, you know a little about the agency, or you know a little about the group home or whatever facility you chose to work in. Now with the home, it's different. With the home, it's different. With the home, you cannot know much about people's family because you don't want to go sit in front of somebody and says, "Oh yes, I know this about you because I googled you." You don't want to do that. Or if you do it, you don't want to share that. They see that as intrusive. Learn about the individual on the interview. However, if you're going in to take care of a dementia patient, now I would encourage that you not only have a working knowledge of how to care for a dementia patient, but you know what type of dementia this individual is suffering from. Because dementia is the umbrella, and then there's the disease. So if you work for Jack and he has frontal lobe dementia, and you work for this person, know what dementia they have, know what causes it, and have a working knowledge of how to care for them. Because you're gonna get a little bit on the training in the training programs or the schools, more so in the schools, but they're not going to go in a lot of it. So I would do my research. There is so much out there on every type of behavioral illness, dementia, broken leg, childbirth. And yes, yes, there are mothers out there that will hire a caregiver to come in if she doesn't have mom or sisters or brother to come in and help her through that process. So caregiving is a wide field. It's not just nursing home and bedridden patient. No, it's not. So I would have an understanding of the type of person, especially working in private homes. With the agencies, they'll bring you in, they'll have probably 2 or 3 days of orientation. And again, they'll bring up what dementia is, they'll bring up what this is. And if you're getting a dementia patient, some agency, at least I can speak for the one I have worked for, they will take you one side and they will give you extra information on this, or the agency in general will have in service, which they do, and every month the topic is different. I would suggest that you do your research. The Mentor Foundation here is very, very, very open to people coming in and listening to their lectures and get certified that they have taken this much hours of dementia care training at a level one. And it goes by level. I did up to a level 4 at Muhammad Ali Center. So I would look into the programs that are out there in our community that you can go for free seminars, and get as much as you can on a knowledge base. And why do I say this? I say this because the more experience you have working in the specialty that you choose, the more you're paid. So, yes, you took care of grandma. And grandma, because let me say this, not everybody that has forgetfulness, not everybody that has a behavior issue has dementia. Okay? Unless they're documented by a neuropsychiatrist with their doctor and they are documented diagnosed dementia. We cannot say a person is dementia because they're forgetful. Remember, as we age, changes happen in our brain. So you used to take care of grandma, and grandma forgets that the bathroom is on the left of the house, and she goes to the right looking for the bathroom. Unless your doctor said to your mom or your family member that, she has enough symptoms going that we're going to test her for dementia. If she is not documented, diagnosed as a dementia, you have not taken care of a dementia patient. You have taken care of someone who is aging, who has forgetfulness. Forgetfulness is not dementia, it comes with age. Behavioral attitudes are not dementia, but some behavioral attitudes you could speak to your family member's doctor and get that taken care of. So we're talking about working with people who are documented, diagnosed, been treated before you got to them for dementia. So learn about that. If you're going to work for hospice, understand what hospice is. Hospice is not there for people to die. They're there to create resources and support for the family. And if they die, then the hospice person is there to support the family. And while they're in hospice, hospice is there to support you, the caregiver. I have worked with some of the most wonderful hospice nurses and social workers. They are so caring. They not only care about the client, but when they come, the ones I've experienced, they'd always pull me one side and says, "How are you coping? How are you doing? Okay. Is this a lot for you? Let's talk about it." So, getting out of school, becoming a caregiver, they're baby steps before you get to what I just explained about choosing. So, your baby steps are the hardest. So you've gotten your CPR card. You've gotten your first aid. And for those who choose to also be certified as a med tech, you have gotten your med tech. When I say med tech, I mean medical technician. You're able to assist the family in administering medication in the home per doctor's orders. Okay? However, starting out as a caregiver that I call fresh bloom, that can be difficult because you need experience. And for private work, they're very hesitant to hire someone who only has 6 months experience. Most people are asking for 1 year or more. In the agency, they're asking for 6 months or more. In the private homes, 1 year or 2 years. I've seen it up now to 2 years or more. Why? Because the responsibility is greater in the home with you. So, how would you suggest I start? You might ask. I would start with an agency. I would start with an agency. And the same process you went through to be certified, where you look and you find schools and you decide to call three, and then you choose one that while talking on the phone, they were very patient and very understanding with you. I would do the same thing with a caregiving agency. I would Google 10 best caregiving agency to work for. Then I would look at their reviews and I would choose. Now, why I'm suggesting an agency? Because that's where you're going to get your experience. Now, if you choose to go facility, you can get out of school into a facility. They will hire you because, again, they will put you with an experienced nursing assistant or a caregiver to work alongside that person for a couple of weeks. And once they feel comfortable with you, I've seen where they have pulled the person that you're mirroring away from an individual because they say the person said to the supervisor, she knows what she's doing. And they pull you to work on your own. But in the nursing home and the assisted living and the rehab centers, they will provide more support, they will provide more training, and then it gives you the opportunity to stay there and learn and get that foundational experience you need. So if you choose to go private, and going private is not for everyone. It's not for everyone. Because in private, unless you have your own insurance, private does not pay an insurance. So if you have a young family and your kids are in school and you need the medical, I would suggest a nursing home skill facility to work because that's so important. Private duty tends to work better for people who are retired, people who have a stable job but just need a second income. Okay? So, in choosing where you want to work, take into consideration your responsibility with medical insurance, sick time, vacation time, coming out the gate, going into private. It's not for everyone. Okay? So you're preparing to apply for a job. The requirements for for the interview is in Arizona, we have to have a criminal background card. So most cities, it used to be the police station for every city. In my city where I live, we have a one of these UPS postal service place that also does background check. And they're accredited because the background check goes to the police station. So without accreditation, they can't have this type of background check. So again, I would do my homework. I would Google how to get a background check. And you call there and they tell you the fees. The fees are two separate fees. One is for the state and one is for the city or the person that runs the office. So I would look into the closest one to my house, and they come back pretty quick. Most Arizonans have their fingerprint card. Most of us have our card because whether you worked at Burger King or Stone Institute, everyone is asking for a background card. So all of us should have a background card. If you don't have one, once you're finished with school, I will go ahead and apply for a background card. It generally takes, and I've done mine, I think it either lasts every 2 years or every 5 years. It took me 6 weeks to get mine back. But here's the good thing: when you do your fingerprint or your background check, they give you, I think it's the pink, either the pink or the yellow. They give you proof that you have done your background check. So you can take that proof with you to your interview because the jobs recognize it. And they will ask you, when you get the card, could you just physically bring it in to us? The other thing is your driver's license. Driver's license has to be have no faults on it, no tickets, no nothing that's going to compromise your employment. So let's go back over a checklist. Oh, before I do that, which I should have mentioned it when I spoke about the school will ask you what educational level you're on. What does that mean? Whether you have a GED, a high school diploma, or a degree. Have to present that to the school. So now that I've added that, now for the job, they will also ask you to present proof of education. If you have gone to school here in Arizona, I'm told once you give them a school, they can go and look at it at the computer. Once you have, if you're retired, say you have a bachelor's or a master's degree, they no longer ask for proof. Once you list that you have that degree, associate, whatever degree you have, they no longer ask for that because it covers it. You couldn't have gotten in unless you have a GED or a high school diploma. So the other thing for employment, and if you work for a facility, if you work for even agency, your PPD, the agency will and your blood test, your drug test, the agency will send you to a company that they pay for your PPD, your blood test, your chest x-ray for those of us who cannot take the vaccine. So they'll pay for that. But when it comes to your private client, you have to pay for your own PPDs, your own tetanus. You have to pay for all those things to be presented to them. So that's why I said that private care is not for the person who is just starting out. Because in order to get all the requirements together, it takes money. It takes money because the fingerprint can run you up to $150, if not more. I haven't done it in a while because I haven't reached the time for it to expire yet. So, and then all the other testing that you have to do if you don't have insurance and you have to do your PPD and your physical because your job will need your physical also. The private person who is hiring you as their private provider, they're going to need the same thing the agency needs. They're going to need to know that the person that is coming in their home is as healthy as we can be. Yeah, we have our aches and pains, and we have our back aches and our shoulder aches, but it's not going to impede your work. I also want to know that you're free from diseases. So, in the era that we live right now, that we have experienced in the last 2 years, that we have to have special shots, they're going to ask for you to present those to them also. So, going into private care takes money. When you go to the agency, they pay for most of the required medical. This is the reason why I say that if you have a family that needs medical insurance, I would suggest that you look for an institution to work for and build yourself up to going into private care because insurance is important. Insurance is important. Holidays is important. Some private does not pay time and a half. And that's something that you have to work out with them. I have been so blessed that on holidays, on my interview, we talk about it. Family decide that, you know what? On the holidays, I would rather be with family anyway, so I get the holidays off. So you talk to your employers about it, whether it's private or, well, when you work in a facility, they already give you the holidays you have off, how many you can take. If you work Christmas, you can't work New Year, you can't take off. If you work Christmas, you might get New Year's, but you can't take all the holidays together. So it's a long it's a long list of preparing to go to work as a caregiver, but I can assure you that once you get it right, it works. The first time you have to present all those paperwork and everything else that you have to do, it is a lot of work. And I think it makes you appreciate the work more, that you had to work so hard to get where you want to go. So get your documents in order. Have your have I've never been asked for birth certificate because of driver's license, but have all your documents, your certification, your CPR, your references, your resume. And if you have a resume, you just tag underneath under it your reference's name, and you have your documentation for your fingerprint, and you have everything, and you place it in a folder, and when you go you just hand it to them, so everything is there. Again, most facility will hire you. If you don't have your CPR, they might hire you and you do the CPR with them, or they'll give you time to get it. And when you get it, then they'll start you to work. So I would just have everything as I suggested. I would have everything in a packet ready, my identification, everything that I need ready. Now, I've said a lot because this part of obtaining certification and getting qualified to get a job, it's a process, and it's a process that can't be rushed. Okay? So, for all my wonderful kings and queens out there that are planning or thinking about being a caregiver, I would encourage you to try it. I would encourage you to do your homework. Do your homework and make that step. Because let me tell you, I said it before on a previous episode when I was speaking to families looking to hire caregiver and I caregivers, and I will repeat it here. A good caregiver is very marketable. A good caregiver can make a lot of money to take care of their family, especially now the rent is so high. So you need to be able to make yourself so marketable that you don't have to work 3 and 4 jobs. By doing your research, by putting in the work, you can have a career that you enjoy. Because people no longer want to stay in a nursing home. They no longer want to stay in rehab. They want to be home. And having you and I out there that are properly trained to take care of them in the home, there is a great need. So here's what you do: make that step. Make that step. Make that step to acquire all the training, get your certification, and get a job that you will grow in, because it's not a stagnated population you work with. Every day, somebody needs a caregiver. Make yourself ready to take this trip. This has been Home Care TV, and I am your host, Muriel Melville. I must thank you for your time, and I must thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. It means a lot, and I appreciate the time you spend watching me live or watching my videos. I appreciate it because there's so many things you could have been doing. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're not in need of a home care provider or a caregiver, there is someone in your circle that does. And for those caregivers who are listening to me or who will watch these videos, those that are thinking about caregiving, those that are already doing caregiving, for those that are doing it, keep doing your best. Keep showing up with your best self and take care of the folk that depend on us. For those who are getting ready to start, as I said, take that step. Good night.